Right, so running away from tough decisions. We all have to face hard choices sometimes in life, don't we? It's unavoidable. They're going to come along at some point on some subject or other. But when you lead the country, you're literally elected to make them, aren't you? And get paid rather handsomely to that effect. But what am I saying? None of us elected Rishi Sunak at all, did we? He got handed the job, foisted onto us, and he's now too scared to do it. A lack of balls as he regularly displays, and such was the case yesterday, when the Commons had its debate and a vote as to whether to basically withhold a former minister's pass from Boris Johnson. I know, such drama, such a sanction. But when the shambling, shameless Yeti quit as an MP, there was actually little else that could be done to him, save cut off his lucrative access to current ministers, which former ministers enjoy and can, of course, use to personally gain from. That's one cash cow cut off from Britain's biggest liar. But Sunak himself, well, he didn't show up for the debate, and he didn't show up for the vote either. He was hoping, such was the severity of the charges against Johnson from the Privileges Committee, such was the severity of the punishment they wanted to levy against him, there were Johnson supporters mainly staying away, just like he was, as he'd requested of them, to just abstain, walk away, show it up to be the kangaroo court that he keeps claiming it to be. Other Tory MPs did too, just as cowardly as Sunak, hiding away, avoiding making a decision on this, hoping that there would be no division in the chamber over it, and that the condemnation of Johnson by the House would go through, on the nod as it's called. You see, to force a vote, there has to be division. If you've seen parliamentary votes before as they happen, the Speaker always asks a question that has been debated and then follows up with, as many as there are of the opinion say aye, and those who wish to back the question asked, shout aye. The Speaker follows this with, of the contrary, no, and those opposed to the question asked, shout no. You know, if the ayes are clearly louder, it goes through on the nod, as it's called. But if the noes are loud too loud, there could be, I can't tell which way or the other the decision has gone, then there's a division. The lobby is cleared. MPs go and vote accordingly. So Sunak wanted this to go through on the nod. He therefore wouldn't be made to feel awkward voting one way or the other. It would save him having to make a tough decision, which could damage his credibility whichever way he chose to vote if he was forced to. If he backed Johnson, the public would lance him like a boil, of course. If he didn't, many of his backbenchers would instead gut him like a fish. Tough decisions. Sunak cannot handle them. He can't make them. Anyway, time came for the vote, and the ayes shouted loudly. Who would possibly disagree? Surely, to goodness, Sunak would get his way, and this would just be nodded through. Nobody's going to back Johnson, who's still sat there in the chamber. Surely. Well, it seems Labour had a plan for this, as Labour whip Alan Campbell bellowed no into the Speaker's ear, triggering a division. Now, it's not like Campbell likely backed Boris in any way, shape or form. It's just purely to trigger a division and force a vote. And Sunak being absent for the entire debate, therefore probably would be absent for the vote too, he'd basically given Labour a golden opportunity to embarrass the hell out of him, and they made sure that they could. Now, Sunak could still have gone to vote, of course. He could have scuppered Labour's plans here. He could have cast a vote either way. He could have stood up and made a tough decision. But he, like many others supporting Johnson who weren't even there in attendance, or others like Sunak still hiding in corners, chose the coward's way out of this and abstained. Functionally, this was, I think, an even worse thing to do for Sunak, since he now didn't show the requisite support some of his backbenchers would have wanted for Johnson, but he also showed his complete cowardice to the public as well. Of the Tories in attendance, just 6 chose to vote and still back Johnson. Bill Cash, Nick Fletcher, Adam Holloway, Carl McCartney, Joy Morrissey, and Heather Wheeler. Apparently Desmond Swain did as well, but that's not come up on the House of Commons search that I did, but some in the media reported him. Supposedly 7 did vote against him, so I can only assume Swain is legitimate, and for some reason the House of Commons website isn't displaying him. I don't know why. Names to remember anyway. But just 118 Tories remained in attendance to vote for the Privileges Committee recommendation against Johnson. Every other Tory abstained, was in hiding, or was off having a jolly with Johnson, including all 6 Cornish Tory MPs, I will single out and point to. And knowing my own MP wasn't Johnson's biggest fan, can only imagine he chose cowardice, just like his boss Sunak did. Knowing Johnson has his eye on returning in another seat, though, the rumour has it he's heading back to Henley if he can get selected there. If Sunak is too cowardly to vote against him in the Commons, if he's too cowardly to stand up to Tory members, he's afraid no end of his own party members, I don't doubt, since none of them chose for him to lead the country either, any more than we did. then what chances are someone still as insanely, disturbingly popular amongst Tory members as Johnson is, being able to return to Parliament in a seat he once held before, popular there as he still is, without Sunak stopping him? He absolutely has the justification to do so now this vote against Johnson has been passed, but Sunak just lacks the spine to do it, in my view. Can you really see him doing it? He doesn't have the balls. He doesn't make tough decisions. Now, I could be wrong. This is more of a behind closed doors kind of a decision. It'd play well with a majority in the country who are a completely disgusted electorate at this point. It would be massively electorally damaging to Sunak to allow Johnson to return in the eyes of the public. But internally, party-wise, well, it would be just as bad for him. Tough decisions again. He can't make them. And this is another I think he will have to run away from. He just can't face it. We have an unelected, absolute coward running the country. And after you've liked, shared and subscribed to the channel that will keep you abreast of all of Sunak's cowardly, custardly ways, please do check out this recommendation here where Sunak's other recent display of being chicken has again shown how afraid of standing against Johnson he is, by letting those Partygate video revellers remain on the honours list, not stopping Johnson's honours list. And I will catch you on the next vid. Cheers, folks.